Brunei Sultan meets Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, signs a deal and 3 MOUs. Investigation going on if there is any involvement between militants and KNF. And Zila Porishad election tomorrow, all preparations taken. Good evening and welcome to the News 24 English Bulletin. This is Tamima Islam. Those were the headlines, now the details. Brunei Sultan Haji Hassanul Balkiah Muizzuddin Wad-Dawla held a meeting with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. In the afternoon, they sat in a private meeting at Shimul Hall of the Prime Minister's office. After this, a representative-level meeting with Prime Minister was held at PMO's Chameli Hall. An aviation agreement and 3 memorandum of understandings were signed there in the presence of 2 top leaders. Meanwhile, the Sultan of Brunei was scheduled to return home today, but he changed his schedule and is heading towards home tomorrow. 2 officials of the Power Grid Company of Bangladesh, PGCB, are being suspended for negligence of duty in the incident of grid disaster. State Minister for Power and Energy Nosrul Hamid revealed this and said the decision will be implemented by today. One of the 2 officials of PGCB is executive engineer and the other is deputy assistant engineer. The state minister said the responsible persons of the distribution company will be found out and brought to the book. On October 4th, the eastern districts of the countries, including Dhaka, remained without electricity for 5 to 7 hours due to the grid failure. 2 separate investigation committees are working to find the cause of the disaster, a report of which has already been submitted to the Ministry of Power and Energy. Investigation is going on if militants have any involvement with separatist organization Kukichin National Front KNF or not. Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal said this after a program at the Directorate of Fire Service and Civil Defense today. Noting that law enforcement agency is taking action against the KNF, he said separatists will not be allowed to live in the country. He said those militants went to the border where living side by the KNF camp. Several of those have already been detained. A part of them were also detected. Zila Porishad election is going to be held in 57 districts across the country tomorrow. Voting in the non-party election will be held using electronic voting machines, EVMs. The Election Commission has already completed all arrangements to hold the polls. Campaign of the elections were ended on Saturday midnight. According to the provisions, only elected representatives of local government institutions of the concerned districts will be able to vote in the elections. Security has been beefed up ahead of the elections. Chief Election Commissioner Qazi Habibullah Awal said around 1,400 CCTV cameras have been installed to prevent irregularities in the Zila Porishad elections scheduled to be held tomorrow. Talking to reporters at his office in Agargaon in the morning, he said the EC will work to ensure the voting rights of the people. To that end, the Commission will take decisions in a meeting in case of any irregularities noticed in the CCTV cameras during the polling. Earlier in the morning, CEC Qazi Habibullah Awal visited the monitoring cell at the Election Commission Secretariat. We'll be back after a short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching News 24 English Bulletin. Bangladesh has gotten the assurance of receiving financial assistance of $4.5 billion from International Monetary Fund (IMF). The fund will be disbursed in 3 installments following bargaining between Bangladesh government and the financial institution. Central Bank Governor Abdur Rauf Talukdar disclosed this during the annual meeting of the World Bank and IMF. He said $1 billion more of budget assistance may be received from the World Bank apart from this. Akramul Haq Shumon reports on Babu Kamruzaman's story from Washington, D.C.
Bangladesh faced an insufficiency in reserve due to different crises, including pressure of world inflation and reduction of rate of Dhaka against dollar. In a bid to handle crisis of foreign currency along with inflation, Bangladesh approached IMF in advance, seeking a $4 billion credit that created criticism. Reaching the final stage of IMF World Bank annual meeting, Bangladesh Bank Governor said budget assistance was assured.
According to quota, we can get $7 billion. We are planning to take $4.5 billion after discussion. Regarding that, we had different level meetings, including with the DMD and director.
The governor said more $1 billion will be got from the World Bank, besides the ongoing budgetary assistance.
We sought a new budget support that is Green Resilience Inclusive Development GRID. With GRID, we had discussions for a $750 million allocation. We had discussions for $1 billion.
The governor expressed his optimism that Bangladesh will be in relax in the next year due to cautious policy taken by the government.
Export and remittance have been equal to our total imports. So as we have LCs opened in the past and more payment is being made, we are expecting that our economy will be sustainable when the LCs will be matured.
The concern of global recession was discussed throughout the annual meeting of the World Bank and IMF. Akramul Haq Shumon, News 24.
Gunmen have killed 11 people in an attack at a Russian military training ground on Saturday. During a firearms training session, 2 men opened fire on a group who had volunteered to fight in Ukraine, state-owned news agency RIA reported. The attackers were from a former Soviet republic, the Russian Defense Ministry said, but did not give further details. They were also shot dead during the incident in the Belgorod region of Russia, which borders Ukraine. A further 15 people were wounded. We'll be back after a short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching News 24 English Bulletin. A fire that broke out at Tehran's Elvin prison, where many of Iran's political and dual national detainees are held, has been extinguished, according to state media, with online videos and local media reporting gunshots. State news agency IRNA said 8 people were injured in Saturday's blaze as nationwide protests over the death in detention of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Iranian woman, entered a 5th week. The protests have posed one of the most serious challenges to the Iranian government since the 1979 revolution. The prison mostly holds detainees facing security charges, including Iranians with dual nationality. It has long been criticized by Western rights groups and was blacklisted by the United States government in 2018 for serious human rights abuses. At least 20 people were killed and 14 more injured on Saturday when a bus crashed on a road between the southwestern Colombian cities of Pasto and Popayan. Images on Colombian television showed the bus flipped over in the early morning accident, which authorities said may have been caused by a mechanical fault. Local media said the bus had been close to tumbling down a mountainside but had to come to a halt against a barrier. That's all from the newsroom today. Thank you for watching News 24. Please stay with us.